Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the latest Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible Fallout. In this latest installment, you guys, this is the sixth installment of the franchise, which is crazy just because they're managing to keep it fresh for each and every installment. I think it's because of all the new directors they keep hiring for these series of movies. But Christopher McQuarrie from Mission Impossible Rogue Nation does return for this one, Mission Impossible Fallout. Um, Still managing to keep the series fresh. This one feels more like a sequel more so than any of the other ones. Not a bad thing, but we'll go over some of that stuff here when I go over my positives and negatives. But in this film, you guys, the Syndicate from Rogue Nation, which was the last Mission Impossible movie, it's long gone. It's been, I think, in this movie's timeline, it's about 2 years since the events of Rogue Nation. But Ethan and his team, they go on different missions, but while one of them's going on, they found out that Solomon Lane, who was one of the villains of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, that he's still at large, he's still a one in man. He's, imprisoned in sorts, but he's still, like, not really in jail. Like, he's just, locked up and in chains and, in people's hands and really not being his own person and things like that. So they find out that he's still at large, that he's still wanted, and this is happening too while a series of bombs are trying to be gathered from different people. One of them wants to, blow up stuff and blow up like a medical team and things like that. So Ethan and his team, they got to figure out, how to get rid of Solomon Lane once and for all, how to get rid of these bombs. These bombs can only be disarmed when they're activated and their countdown takes place. So there's just so much going on, and they have to figure all this out over the course of Mission Impossible Fallout. So overall, guys, I really enjoyed this film a lot. As far as I know, too, I think this is the only Mission Impossible film that Tom Cruise literally got hurt on the set on. He did get hurt doing one of his stunts, I think, in this movie, and I think I could find the stunt that he got hurt on just by how he was walking after he did the stunt and everything after this big building jump and stuff like that. I really like this film a lot, you guys. I thought the action was very good in this movie. Probably one of the better action set piece Mission Impossible films we've ever gotten. I even thought the story was really good this time around. They do a lot with the characters. But so let's go over the positives and negatives of what I loved about this movie and some of the stuff I thought that could have used improvement. So overall, for my positives, guys, I thought, like I said, the action scenes were just amazing. They were jaw-dropping. It really is very impressive what they're able to do with all these big action set pieces. Tom Cruise does most of his stunts in this movie, which is really impressive. He's in his mid-50s now. Just some of the stuff they make him do is absolutely crazy. They really do an amazing job with the action scenes in this movie. So if you go out to see Mission Impossible Fallout, even just seeing it for the action scenes, I think is more than enough. It really does deliver on that purpose. The cinematography I thought was really good in this movie. There's actually a scene where Ethan and his team are in this like underground bunker and they're trying to figure out what to do next. What they did with the lighting and what they did with the environment they shot in, everything lines up to the people who are speaking in each of the shots. It's just really great what they did with it. And that's not the only scene that did that. There's tons of scenes with great cinematography. You're able to see what's going on in all the shots. It's not just shaky cam and out of focus shots. They really do a great job with the cinematography in this movie. So they get everything in camera. Everything's lined up the way it should. Everything's in focus with the subject matters and stuff like that. So they did a great job with the cinematography in this movie. Michelle Monaghan, who's been a part of the Mission Impossible series since Mission Impossible 3, she returns in this movie, and it's not just a cameo this time like it was in Ghost Protocol. She wasn't even in Rogue Nation, but she is in this film, probably her biggest Mission Impossible role since the third movie. I really like what they did with her character a lot. They go over why kind of we've been on and off as far as why we haven't seen her and kind of have seen her since the events of the third movie. And there's a really touching scene, too, with her that really goes over, that she's happy to be the person the way she is because Ethan Hunt and her found a way for her to pursue that life, even if it's not the life they wanted, even if it's not the life of being married the way they intended in the third movie. She's happy to be the person the way she is because of Ethan Hunt's life and the life they agreed to give her and things like that. So just the way they continued her character, I thought was very, very good. As a Michelle Monaghan fan and a Mission Impossible fan, I was very satisfied with the direction they took with her character. Going back kind of to the action scenes a little bit, but Tom Cruise's stunts in this movie are truly unbelievable. There's just tons of stuff they do with him in this that really is just like he's in his mid 50s and he can probably almost die if that stunt went wrong. And it's just crazy with some of the stuff they make him do in this movie. Like I said, he did get injured on one of these stunts, but just some of the other stuff they do, like him falling from like a helicopter rope down to like a stash of military stuff, and it's just like it's crazy. When you want to see the movie, it's just absolutely nuts with some of the stunts they made him do in this movie. Henry Cavill from Man of Steel, right here too, by the way. He has a role in this movie. He's kind of like an assassin that needs to supervise Ethan Hunt while on these missions. Some certain branches of the government don't trust the IMF on some of these missions, so he's kind of the supervisor in a way. So he follows Ethan Hunt on most of this mission. And I think Henry Cavill's very good in this movie. I was really happy with the range he brought, that he was able to bring all the stuff you loved about him from Man of Steel and from the DCEU and stuff like that. But, yeah, like I really liked what they did with that. Certain things about him are kind of off the hook a little bit, but that's good. I really like how they show both a good and a bad side to his character and stuff like that. So I was really happy with what they did with his character over the course of the movie. The Mission Impossible franchise always has like great gadgets and face masks that look just like the real person they're trying to imitate and be in disguise of. And I think they have a lot of fun with it this time. There's still tons of gadgets that you just kind of giggle to yourself at, and things that you're intrigued by just because they aren't real, but if they were to be real, they would be really fascinating to watch and look at in real life and to use in real life. And the face mask, they kind of make fun of the fact that almost never works out, as you have tons of time to yourself to kind of really master the look of the masks and stuff like that. So the masks really haven't worked since Mission Impossible 3, if you really think about it. So Mission Impossible Fallout kind of confirms that sometimes that not always works when you have to have a restricted timeline and you got to get the face mask done, and you got to get the voice correct and stuff like that. So this movie makes fun of the fact that really the face masks haven't even worked since the third movie, even though they kind of hinted at in both the fourth and fifth movie. They kind of don't work most of the time. So the movie kind of makes fun of that fact, which I thought was kind of funny. This is also the most franchise history heavy Mission Impossible film we've had to date. Like I said, this does feel the most like a sequel since the previous Mission Impossible movies. But that's not a bad thing. I really like how they really show that the franchise has been around for a while. These characters have a ton of history together. But like I said, it's the most dominant and most present in this Mission Impossible movie, so they really go for it in this movie. I also like the use of Alec Baldwin in this movie. They gave him tons of stuff to do, and even when he's kind of out of the movie, and I really can't say why, they really do give him a lot of range. I like when Alec Baldwin still does dramatic roles. I think he's very good at that. He's not just the funny comedic guy we watch on SNL every once in a while. They really do have a great use for him in this movie. His dramatic role is very good in this, so I was really happy with the direction they took with his character. For my negatives of this movie, though, there's tons of scenes that are going for like a slow burn feel, and I think that slow burn effect for some of these scenes do go a little too slow. There's just so many scenes where you gotta wait so long for the next action scene or wait so long for the next plot point. So some of that slow burn feeling is a little too slow for its own good, I felt. And though some might view this as a positive, I kind of went over what I liked about this point, but I'm also going to go over the negative of this point here in a second. This film feels a little bit too much like a companion film to Rogue Nation, so what I don't like about that is I feel like all the Mission Impossible films up to this point have been self-contained, had a different director, the beginning, middle, and end are all contained within that one movie. And there's things that later films can use, like characters and scenarios and bringing up something that happened in Ethan's past and so forth. But because it is so similar to Rogue Nation, and they do continue so much from Rogue Nation, like the villain and the scenarios and the old Syndicate team and stuff like that, um, it just feels a little too much like a companion film to Rogue Nation. So, in a way, in this film, you kind of have to see Rogue Nation immediately before seeing this movie, just because the two films are so connected with each other. And I miss the idea of self-contained Mission Impossible movies like they were in the previous installments. But once again, by hiring Christopher McQuarrie again, obviously the vision is not going to be as fresh as if they hired a new director again. Um, so for me personally, I would have liked to have preferred a more self-contained Mission Impossible movie. There's also some daydream sequences in this movie, and they really haven't done that in the past Mission Impossible movies, or at least take a full scene out to do a daydream and then go back to the scene they were at. Um, I feel like they do it one too many times in this movie, and when they happen, they just feel kind of weird and bizarre, and they play out, and I don't know. I felt it was a little too excessive with the daydream sequences. Maybe do it that one time, but just don't do it again. So they do it more than once, and every time they do it, it just feels a little excessive. Um, I haven't heard any other complaints from anybody else about it, but I thought the daydream sequences were a little excessive in this, so wasn't a big fan of that. I also thought the musical score in this film was kind of recycled. Yes, you hear the Mission Impossible theme song in the beginning and in the opening credits and so forth. I thought the score just felt a little recycled in this one. It just felt like they didn't spend a lot of time with it. They literally just took what hasn't been done with the Mission Impossible theme and just put like a new beat and rhythm to it. So I just thought the musical score felt a little too recycled in this movie. But overall, I'm going to give Mission Impossible Fallout a 9 out of 10. I think it's an excellent movie. For sure, see this one. Like I said, the action scenes are just absolutely amazing. Michelle Monaghan, Henry Cavill, Alec Baldwin get tons of great stuff to do in this movie. They make fun of the facial masks. They have great gadgets from Mission Impossible in this movie. It's the most franchise history-heavy Mission Impossible film we've ever gotten. But like I said, the slow burn is a little too slow. It's a little too much of a companion film to Rogue Nation. The daydream sequences are a little excessive, and the overall musical score was a little recycled to me. So, as far as how this film rates compared to other Mission Impossible movies, I think number 3 is still my favorite. There's something about what J.J. Abrams brought to the table that I really like a lot from that movie. Don't get me wrong, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation are also very good Mission Impossible films too. I would say the third one and this one are probably my 2 favorite ones. So this is probably my second favorite Mission Impossible movie. So 9 out of 10 for me. Really like this one a lot. Like I said, second favorite Mission Impossible movie next to the third one for me. So make sure to see Mission Impossible Fallout. 9 out of 10. Great action set pieces in this movie.